Chris Stokes. Chris Stokes is next on the chopping block because of Diddy.
The entertainment industry loves to flex its glitz and glamour, but there's always been a dark side lurking beneath the sparkle. Enter the explosive story of Chris Stokes, an R&B heavyweight from the early S, and his alleged ties to Diddy's infamous parties. Chris Stokes made some serious waves as one of the top dogs in R&B and hip-hop. The man wasn't just about making beats, he built an entire empire as a music exec, producer and filmmaker. Stokes is the mastermind behind groups like BK and Immature, shaping the boy band scene of the early S with their catchy hits, iconic dance moves and signature style. But as always in showbiz, not everything was as sparkly as it seemed behind the curtain. Whispers of scandal started bubbling up, stories that could seriously wreck his reputation. Stokes wasn't just a music mogul. He had his hands in a whole lot of creative pies. Back in he founded the record label The Ultimate Group, managing artists who would become household names. Think Amarian, Jenny Aiko, Marcus Houston and NLT. But music wasn't enough for him. He made his mark on the film scene too, writing and directing hits like the dance drama You Got Served. The guy knew how to ride the wave of pop culture, whether it was dropping bangers or putting out dance flicks that had everyone trying to nail their next battle move. Oh, and he wasn't just staying in one lane. He launched the Christopher Bryan collection in a clothing line that had Kim Kardashian as its main spokesmodel before she was, well, the Kim K. Stokes signed a 3-picture deal with Viacom, creating films like We Belong Together, which aired on BET, and Bet Her, produced by his company Footage Films. He also took on TV, directing and producing shows like Sacrifice for Bet Plus and the musical series Howard High on Urban Flix TV. Basically, when it comes to putting out content, Stokes doesn't take breaks. But here's the thing. No amount of movies or hit records can keep a reputation squeaky clean when the skeletons start tumbling out of the closet. Rumors of misconduct wasn't new for Stokes, and the resurfacing of past allegations only poured more fuel on the fire. From whispers about questionable connections with underage talent to claims of exploiting his power over young artists, the stories have been dark, persistent and chilling. And just when you'd think it couldn't get any messier, it did, because Stokes' name became tied to Diddy's infamous parties. For years, Diddy has been throwing parties so wild they've become legendary in all the wrong ways. These exclusive bashes had guest lists and high-profile faces, but behind closed doors there were always whispers of scandal and serious exploitation. Allegedly, these gatherings were way darker than the glam vibe Diddy pushed. The behavior, free-flowing and sketchy acts involving guests. Now, Diddy's got legal problems piling up, with multiple lawsuits accusing him of some serious stuff. But here's where it gets even messier. As investigators dig deeper into this wild web, another name keeps coming up: Chris Stokes. And things really took a dark twist when a federal probe into Diddy's notorious parties turned up some seriously incriminating footage. This wasn't just any tape. We're talking about big-name figures allegedly caught in acts that made everyone's stomachs turn, with Stokes right in the mix. Law enforcement sources claim the footage showed scenes so disturbing it left folks asking what in the world actually went down at these parties and who else had dirty hands. Insiders allege that Stokes was caught on camera engaging in wildly inappropriate behavior with young attendees, sparking outrage and immediate demands for justice. When the news of the incriminating footage hit, Chris reportedly went panic mode. Multiple sources claimed he was ducking out of sight, trying to stay off the radar and dodge questions from authorities. Of course, his disappearing act just added more fuel to the fire, with people taking it as a major red flag pointing to his guilt. Now it's been buzzing that Diddy is apparently trying to throw people under the bus to save his own neck. Desperation doesn't even begin to cover it. The man's trying to change the whole conversation and keep the heat off his back since all the accusations and scandals hit the fan. Word on the street, he's ready to sacrifice Chris Stokes to the media wolves just to make his own sins look a little lighter in comparison. But here's the thing, this rabbit hole goes deep, like too deep. To start, there's this wild blind item going around that has everyone shook. Allegedly, Chris Stokes is in line to be exposed, courtesy of Diddy himself. Y'all, if you know the history here, you know it's messy. It's rumored that Stokes has a lot of skeletons in his closet, especially with allegations from Razby about abuse and manipulation back when BK was in their prime. Raz's journey as a whistleblower started back in when he dropped a bombshell YouTube video accusing Chris Stokes of assaying him and his brother Ricardo. At the time, they were under Chris's label, and they alleged that Chris abused his power in the worst ways. But the story didn't stop there. Raz also claimed that fellow label mate Marcus Houston was involved after learning this behavior from Chris. Raz even sat down with Jason Lee to tell it all, but things got messy quick. Just when it was supposed to air, Lee got hit with a cease and desist, but Raz wasn't going to let his voice be silenced, and faced relentless backlash and ostracization for speaking out. In one terrifying moment, he even went live, panicked and begged for help as police reportedly entered his home without a warrant. In another live, he was scared and shaken, saying he couldn't be in the same room as Stokes during their reunion tour. He was pleading for help in Kansas City, not feeling safe at all. Because since then, screenshots have circulated of DMs allegedly showing Stokes denying everything, even pointing blame to someone completely different. It is not true. Stop with this. He added that his brother Ricardo Thornton should be blamed. They have criminal records. I have never done anything to Raz B. Those are lies. But Raz B's bravery shook the industry, changing how a lot of people looked at Stokes. And then things got even murkier. A video emerged showing Ray J calling Raz and allegedly passing on messages from Jay-Z and Diddy, pressuring him to retract his statements about Chris. The fact that Jay and Diddy were reportedly involved had everyone scratching their heads. Why would they care? The phone call showed Raz looking visibly shaken, clearly aware of how real the threats could become if he didn't comply. During the conversation, Ray J explained that he was being contacted by Jay and Diddy, who demanded that Raz take back everything he'd said about Chris. Raz, fearing for his safety, began plotting how to make his retraction seem organic, hoping to avoid suspicion while still doing what was demanded of him. Desperation was clear as he tried to strategize a believable backtrack without further backlash from powerful figures. That's when he recanted his allegations in a shocking twist, praising Chris and calling him a protector. He claimed that he had unfairly targeted Chris due to unresolved pain from his past. As expected, fans weren't buying it. Many suspected Raz was forced to do that by powerful industry players to protect their reputations. But there's a major connection people have been pointing out. Diddy, Chris Stokes, and even R. Kelly all worked together on a track called Bump, Bump, Bump for BK. Looking back, knowing what we know now, the lyrics and the whole vibe, it hits differently. Creepy even. And yeah, R. Kelly's name being attached doesn't make it better. It's all allegedly. But when you line things up, there's a pattern emerging that makes you squint real hard. To make it worse, rumors are flying about Chris Stokes being tied to certain groups with shady intentions. People are even claiming he's tried rebranding himself under a religious guise. Meanwhile, Diddy is allegedly pushing for Stokes to be exposed to divert attention. Is throwing everyone under the bus so I can breathe. Honestly, that's not all. If you dig a grave for someone, make sure you ain't standing too close to the edge because the dirt on Diddy is piling up too. But here's where it gets even darker. Chris Stokes' close confidant Marquis Houston is a whole story of mess himself. One case that shook everyone is the situation with Maya Dickey, who, as we all remember, vanished and then suddenly reappeared years later as Marquis's wife. During the time she was unaccounted for, she was credited as an art director on several of Stokes' projects, a connection that raised a lot of uncomfortable questions about his role in her life. People started asking questions after a photo of the couple with their daughter hit the timeline, and it sent them spiraling. What? Houston is and Mia's only. But wait, there's more. The caption said they've been together for a decade. Yeah, you do the math. That's got people wondering if Marcus was keeping tabs on Mia since she was just while he was already a grown man. Back in MTO News stirred the pot by linking Mia to a missing persons case. They claimed Mia might actually be Miana Juanita Pinckney, a teen reported missing in Oregon when she was. It gets crazier apparently. Miana's adoptive parents believe she ran off to find her biological mom in Cali to make things worse. The missing report laid it all out. Miana's birth mom lost custody and Mia was adopted back in. By she was gone, vanished from her Oregon home, allegedly headed to California. Fast forward a few years and she's back, this time standing next to Marquez Houston as his wife. A user named Paige Christie UK even dropped the document on the timeline and suddenly, everyone was looking sideways at Marquez and Mia.